While the other guys from Off the Beaten Path decided to take a road trip, I decided to stay a little bit closer to home. I'm at the Classicade Classic Arcade in downtown Hazleton, and while here I spoke to owner Tom Gables about what it takes to restore all these old games. Now, if you are from the Hazleton area, you may know Tom Gables from his restoration work on the former Hazleton High School, or perhaps from the Hazleton Historical Society. But what you may not know is Gables has a passion for restoring these old coin-operated video games to their past glory.
We go all the way back to 1980. My fascination with these older games started. I was in, I guess it was Cook's at the time, and I looked over and I saw a Pac-Man, the first one I ever saw, sitting in the corner, and I was drawn to it like a magnet. So I said to my dad, I said, I'm taking a wagon, we're going out to Lads Castle, I'm picking up a game. And he said, what do you mean? He said, you mean like a home version? I said, no, the full-size arcade game. So a friend of mine went out and he helped me, and we crammed this thing, you know, we had blankets underneath it, crammed it into the wagon. I came home and my father was like, where do you think you're going to put this? I said, well, in the basement for now. And that was the start of everything. And at the time, you were able to pick up a Pac-Man for $150 back then. Now, a Pac-Man totally restored goes for $1,500, maybe more. It started from a Pac-Man, then I got the Mad Planets, and then it started into, you know, a Super Pac-Man, then I wanted a Ms. Pac-Man. Every time I would see a game up for sale, whether it be in the paper shop, whether it be at an arcade somewhere, if it was something I liked, I would pick it up. And usually some of them do need some work. Very few times will you pick up a game where it's, you know, needs no attention to it, but usually they do need attention.
Soon, Gables had enough restored games to open up an arcade. And so Classicade was born. This arcade is filled with video games that Gables loved when he was young. It was a time when these machines were everywhere. Inside Classicade, you'll find games like Tron, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Mario Brothers, Defender, several global arcade machines which feature over 50 different classic games, including Space Ace, Sinistar, Bubble Bobble, and more. And if you haven't already figured it out, Gables has a fondness for Pac-Man and all its variations.
When that came out, I was relentless in playing that. Anywhere I was at, I put the quarter in. I've put a Pac-Man over $1 million at the one that was in my parents' basement when I was a kid. What would happen with Pac-Man is it would come up if you would get to the very last screen. You would get what was known as a split screen. You would see half of the screen was normal with the maze, and the other side of the screen was actually all jumbled numbers and everything. That meant you put Pac-Man to the end of the program. I've done it once.
Now, some of these games have not been manufactured in almost 30 years. So I asked Gables, how much work goes into restoring some of these machines?
First thing you look at on a Pac-Man machine is you look at the artwork. The artwork on them back then was sprayed on with a gun in the factory. So what you got to do is see, is the artwork worth restoring by hand painting, or you have to buy reproduction decals. So what you do is you strip the sides down with a sander, put a coat of semi-gloss paint on it, you know, any color. Then you take the decals, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 people to get one of these decals. Then what you do is you go, you find out, okay, does the game work? So the TV monitor is the next step. The old 19-inch TV monitors for these games are almost now not available. You either have to buy a flat screen or take that monitor and get it restored. So what we have to do with the TV monitors now is take them and have them rebuilt. I send them out, get them rebuilt. After you get the TV monitor restored, we usually take the coin doors off, strip them down, have them painted, put all new coin mechanisms in them, put all new coin chutes on them, everything. You look at your decals again on the control panel. A lot of them from the old games, people just usually use them as an ashtray. I used to burn cigarettes into them. So you end up usually taking the control panel, stripping it down, giving it a new paint job, and then either the whole thing's covered by a decal or partially with a decal. You put all new buttons on them, you clean up the joysticks on them. There's a lot. This is Tron. This seems to be the star attraction when people come in the arcade. People run right to this Tron machine. Now this is a restoration I probably did in the late 80s. It's actually starting to show its age a little bit. But this game, when I first got this machine, this was in shambles. I had to find a whole new interior piece here, put all new decals on them. This was where the black light is under here. This was a new piece at one time, and we had to rebuild the joystick. You know, that's all new on there. Well, it was new when it was restored. And some of the parts and pieces for Tron are very hard to find, especially the piece that's underneath this knob. It's a little logic board to make his arm, you know, turn left or right. And that's actually the worst problem always with these Tron machines, is that little tiny board underneath there. So there's a lot. It's the Pac-Man Plus over there is a 2-month job.
For now, the Classicade is open by appointment only. For more information, call Tom Gabos at 570-459-4458. Of course, while I was here, I had to play a few games. Let's just say I was there for a while.
Oh, you caught me. Researching. Anyway, so I bet you're wondering where we get all our great ideas for Off the Beaten Path. Well, it's definitely not Joe Grabacic, and it's not L.A. Tyrone, though both are human encyclopedias. So where do we get our amazing ideas? The World Wide Web. If you know about interesting or unique people, places, or things in Pennsylvania, tell us about it via email or by phone, area code 570-459-1869, extension 1150. And maybe you'll see it right here on Off the Beaten Path.